Hey, my coding family. How's everybody doing? Can you guys hear and see me okay? Happy Saturday. Yes, indeed. Hey, Go-Kart. You like the new look of your live tonight? Thank you, Go-Kart. Hey, Fagan. Hey, Emmy. I have a question from Thursday about the hydration in chemo. Why did we not need the time? Technically, if you're doing the question from the answer point of view, that is why you do not need time. So if of the available answers that are in front of you and you're only trying to figure out which answer is correct, that's why you don't need time. But if you're going to be doing medical coding in the real world, time is important because whichever one has longer time means that's the reason why you set that IV line and started, or you attached to a PICC line or whatever. That's the reason why you started today's visit, and that's how you know which one is coded first. But for that particular example, and of the available answers, and the way that we did it, looking for similarities, coding irregularities, and things like that, that's why time is something you didn't need to know. But in the real world, whichever one was longer, the hydration or the chemo, that's how you know which one goes first. Hopefully that helps. Hey, Mabel. Hey, Shauna. Hey, Preet. Taylor. Good to see you guys. All my subscribers. It's so good to see you guys. Hey. There's Twinkle. Our shooting star. Good to see you. How's everybody on TikTok? Thanks for liking and sharing the live. Hey, Nikki. We got 7 of you guys on. Karin. I like the way that's pronounced. I don't know if that's correct, but I like that. Susie. Good to see you. Thank you so much for hanging out. Oops. Make sure. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for tapping the live. Thank you guys on TikTok. We've got a ton of practice questions today. Hopefully I can help out. I got another idea for tonight that we might do. I did not do any codes today prior to starting, like which codes are under which header. We can do that if you guys want to. I just forgot about prepping those. Let me get back over here to my prepping questions. Let me know if you got any other questions before we get started. Just wanted to say thank you to everybody who is a YouTube subscriber and has been. These people have been YouTube subscribers for 2 years. Thank you guys so much for contributing to supporting the content, for sure. All right. I have some new questions. I bought 2 new books this week. The 2024 Bucks book and the 2024 Ahima workbook. I bought both of those, hoping for new practice questions and stuff, new ideas of what to go over, because I'm not sure, you know, I've done 3 years worth of practice questions with you guys, so I'm like, okay, what have I not gone over? What's not in the videos? So sometimes it's helpful to see somebody else's questions just to see, oh yeah, I've never gone over that area. But some of these I've not worked up. Some of these I've never seen before. We may find deleted codes. We may find deleted guidelines. So just saying, some of them may be a little off. We'll see. We'll be auditing their books, so that's okay. The first thing I like to do, of course, is make sure that we do not look at the question. Oop, that's not what I wanted. Insert a shape, not a line. And let's just look at just the available answers that we have. A lot of times it's just the difference between two answers, and we see that D and A have the same answer, and the only difference is, do we have a modifier or not, or there's a difference in the diagnosis code. And since the 3-3 is in somebody else's answer, I'd be inclined to looking at D could be the answer, but we could be wrong. You never know. I'd run to the 969421 and see what's going on in that CPT code. Computer's letting me know I need to set up my device. I don't have time to set up devices. It's time to just turn it on and go. I never did. Like my oldest son built this computer, like put all the pieces together and put it in a box and turned it on. I don't know. But, and then when he installed Windows, Windows was like, okay, it's time to set up your computer. And I skipped through all those steps and I said, I'll do it in 2 weeks. I've postponed it all. And then I never did. Never did set that up. It's been probably 6 months now. It keeps wanting me to set up my Windows, whatever. And I'm like, I ain't got time for that. I got to just turn it on and work. All right. 69421. This is a my ring, which means what? There's a difference between the my ring and the timpans. Timpans means we're going to be placing the tubes in. My ring usually means that the tubes are already been installed in this patient. So we can check our question. See what's going on here. Anybody got an exam scheduled anytime soon? Just curious. This patient is having tubes inserted. So would we be the 2-1? What do you guys think? You're going to school in October. Awesome. My exam, you're going to be doing CPB and course through AAPC. Hey Lisa, you want to start off by studying for the CRC? Awesome. I've got some ICD-10 coming up for sure. Yours is in October. Locks, Ferry, awesome. Almost 9 years of experience, and I work in Profi Auditor, and you only make $60K. Have you been at your same job where you work right now longer than a year? Or have you been 6 years with the same company? That can make a difference. Currently learning the ICD-10 PCS guidelines names. Isn't that crazy? I've got a study room in my Discord study group with all pocket prep, all kinds of practice questions for PCS. You can pin that comment, go-kart, since you're a moderator on TikTok. You can always pin that from time to time. Because with 9 years experience, if they're not paying you what you should be paid as an auditor, then go find another job that increases your income. Absolutely. Don't stay in your current position and accept a 3% raise every year. That's how you reduce your experience versus time pay rate. I had to leave the company that I had worked for 10 years and I had gotten their HEDIS scores up to 100% in all measures. They were beating out Kaiser Permanente. Groups that have teams of auditors, and I was the only auditor for all of their patient lives. And they were only increasing my rate between 2.5 and 3% each year. If I was lucky, one year they did 1.8%. It's crazy. So I went to their competitor, the only group in town that had as many lives as they did, to take care of, and said, okay, here's what I can do for you. You can obviously see published online what their scores are. I'm the only person in their group that does this. I'll create a department with just me in it, and I'll do the same thing for you, but I want this pay rate. And it was double what I was making. And without a doubt, they said, absolutely, we'll also give you a bonus each year with this much if you produce those kind of records. So that was it. I doubled my income. You can't just stay at one location. You've got to move on. I was 8 years with one company, and you moved the current company for a raise. Okay. Good. If you've been with that company for a year, then it's time to go find another company for another raise. Absolutely. With $60K, you can't live off that right now, even unless you have double income. Working another job at the same time. A lot of medical coders do. They'll do one that requires no phone calls on one computer keyboard, and then they'll do another one that does require calls, so that they can do two at the same time. They just have two keyboards up on the desk, and they're moving from one to the other. My recommendation, if you're going to do that, is to have two internet providers, because your employer does have access to your internet service, and if they see that you're typing something that isn't being typed for them, then they can figure out that you are working two jobs at one time. But if, like what I do, is I have internet provider through one company, and then I have another internet company for another service, same location. One of them is fiber optics, and one of them is internet through like DSL, kind of like not really dial up, but coax cable. There you go. But I've worked two companies at the same time before, but if I was ever to do that again, that's how you do it. You keep one company on one internet provider, another company on the other internet provider. Just makes sense. You're very welcome, Kayla, for the tips. Absolutely. And it's worth, the expense of $65 to $100 to have two, it's going to be $200 for internet, but, one company gets $100 or whatever, and then the other company gets $100. It's worth it to make another $60K a year. Then you double your income, and you're two jobs at $60K, and you're making $120K a year. Yep. So if you guys have my when do you know if you should take the test, there is a metric judge when you're ready. What I recommend is, if you're doing these practice questions with me and you're getting 90% of them correct, and I'm constantly saying, yep, you're correct, yep, you got it right, yep, then you're good to go. Another indication is if you watch one of my replay workshops, and I've got several that are free, you don't even have to have a membership for, on my YouTube channel. They're 3 hours, 75 questions on each of the workshops. If you can get through 75 of those questions and only miss, 5 questions, you can get to the codes, you can find them, you can pick out the answer, you can do them in 2 minutes or less by pausing the video, setting a timer, and get through the entire video, and you're getting 90% of those questions correct, then you're good to go for the exam. 100%. Yep. A lot of people say as long as you're making 70 on the practice exam questions, but I find that not helpful. I think that you need to be making 90% on the practice exam questions from AAPC, at least. But because those don't change and those practice exam questions have been the same questions for many, many years, and they very rarely update any of them, most people know how to find the correct answer. But there's also one thing I want to show you guys tonight, and we're going to do it with this question. So if you have my notes, or you already know the differences between the My Ring and the other CPT codes on this page that start out with the TYMPAN, T-Y-M-P-A-N, what you should have in your book is that the My Ring surgeries usually always have the tubes in place, and that the TYMPANs are to put in the tubes into the ear. And the code, the 99421, for this one, already, that code, the 21, means for someone who has already had the tubes put in and we're just inflating them. Maybe they are not working as well, they are full of wax or something, and they've collapsed inside. We just need to inflate them. And so this looks like they're doing an insertion. So you know you're not in the correct coding area with those two. And then we would go look at the 3-3 and the 3-6. 3-3 is putting tubes in, and 3-6 is also putting the tubes in. But your one word differences between these codes is that anesthesia, right? 3-3 is topical, 3-6 is general. That's why B is your correct answer. So what I've done here is I've gone to each of the codes, and I know exactly why 2-1 is not correct. And I've written in my book that 69421 means that I'm inflating tubes that have already been placed, and I added that note into my CPT book. Then I've gone to another code that is incorrect for this example. The 69433 is incorrect because it uses local or topical anesthesia. I've made a note and circled that area so that I know that anesthesia is one of those things that I have to look up for these sets of codes. The only thing that I needed to look up in this question was these two sentences, basically right here. Only needed to look up general anesthesia and that there was a tube insertion. I didn't need to know that they're 5. I didn't need to know that they have chronic. All these other words, just fill your head full of words during your exam, and you need to avoid reading as much as you can because you'll get brain fatigue. Another thing that we can do is, if we're practicing for our certification exam, we can go on and take the time to look up these diagnosis codes. We can go to our H65, right? A, B, C, D, H. I've written some helpful information in the top of my ICD-10 book around this area that is pretty cool. That, let me see if I can turn on my camera. Right here we've got that if we're doing the right ear, we're going to have a 1 digit on the 6th digit of a diagnosis code. If we're doing the left ear, it's a 2. And I bet if it's bilateral, it would be the 3. You can see in the answers that we have available over there, that the 3 digit is the 6th character. And we can check out that over here and make sure. Could be right. Or is it the 5th digit? I can look up. Let's look it up. 6, 5, 6.5 anatomy of the ear. I was in the, not in the ear section. I was in the eye section, sorry. R6.5, which is still something I can do here. R6.5 is our otitis. Our right ear is a 6 digit, is a 1. 2 is our left ear, and bilateral is 3. You can see that inside our books. Let me get that camera back on. So, if you guys, I got too many drinks and stuff all over my desk. You can see our differences, right, left, and bilateral. And at the top of this page, that's super cool to write that if your 6 digit equals a 1, you know that you are right. If it's a 2, you know you're left. And if it's a 3, you're bilateral. Writing that in and remembering it all on all these ear sections could be super helpful in your learning stuff, in your knowing what to look for in your different answers. Is just as easy as looking at the 6 digit and recognizing those. 1, 2, 3, right? So we know this patient has, let me get rid of that camera again. We have here that right and left were done, so you know you're bilateral. That 6 digit of the 6, you know you can't do. Everybody having a 3 is good because we did do bilateral. Now, why is H6593 wrong? Why would that be wrong? Let's go look over here. Is there a 963? 96593. 9.3 is unsuperlative. It's unspecified. Our 3.3, 965.3.3 is chronic mucoid. And we do have chronic mucoid listed there. We could have acute non-superlative. We could have a chronic allergic otitis, which is under the chronic non-superlative. All those differences are super cool. When you're in the book and you're looking up the differences of why certain codes are not the correct answer and why some are, if you start off with your H65, we've got the non-superlative otitis right there. And then if we change to the H66, that's where the superlative comes into effect. Are we non? Are we sup? Knowing those differences and the differences between what kind of diagnoses would be here and what kind of diagnoses would be here is going to be in your excludes or excludes, or your use additional that kind of stuff is super helpful to know what kind of codes you're going to have to code with this. All your guidelines that you need to know about H65 are going to be included at H65. They're not going to be down here at the 111 6-digit. You won't know that there's a guideline, but the guideline that is attached to H65 is going to be at the first 3 digits. So that's super helpful to know that they will be there if you need them. So if the patient had had exposure to, or is a smoker, or has been exposed to that kind of stuff, then you would add additional diagnoses with this one too. First things we're going to start out with is, of course, acutes and then chronics. Your acutes are from H650 and 01, and then your chronics start at H652. And then at H654 is where your other goes into effect. And then your H65.9 is your unspecified. So if we're H65 fourth digit, the 0 and the 1 are acute, right? And then fourth digit for H65, 2, 3 are chronic, just like we wrote about these being right, left, and bilateral. You could also do fourth digit is significant. If it's a 0 or a 1, it's acute. If it is a 2 or 3, it would be chronic. Those kind of things can be helpful too, just understanding the flow and why things are the incorrect answer. What in the book would tell you you were in the incorrect area? So again, now that we know that let me type this out real quick. Now that we know that the 6-digit 1 is right, 2 is left, and 3 equals bilateral, we know that the fourth digit, 0 or 1, 10 key issues, 0 through 1 equals acute, and then fourth, or that the 2 through 3 equals chronic. So, knowing that information, marking it in your book will definitely help in the upcoming practice exam questions, that instead of looking at the diagnoses and then looking for a whole lot of different things, you're going to recognize that the fourth digit is significant for you, right? And you're going to recognize that the 6th digit, and this one doesn't even have one, is also going to be significant, or 5th digit, whatever it is. Is that 5th? Am I doing the wrong one? 5th digit? So that you can quickly go through these answers and eliminate them by only looking up just a few little words right here in your example. If a CPT code wasn't even listed, if this was just a diagnosis code difference, you know now for otitis media, you could look up chronic and bilateral, and you probably already know what your answer is. right off the bat because you know these little different numbers, right? And every single answer after that point, you would know that difference. Every time you do an otitis media, and guarantee you'll have one of these during your exam that is otitis. Somebody was taking their exam today. Did they get on chat and let us know how they're doing? Hey, Doc, how's it going? Hey, Sam, good to see you. Somebody had their exam today. Your exam is tomorrow, Lisa. Oh, best of luck. I love looking to see why certain answers are wrong, what in the book would tell you why the answer is wrong, how I can correlate that to the next questions, and how will that information help me later on when I'm doing even more questions. I know there's a pattern. Otitis media always has a pattern. I'm going to be looking for right, left, or bilateral. I'm going to be looking for acute, chronic, or other. Super helpful. That pattern will definitely help out. And even if you can't remember it, you can still write it at the diagnosis code area. You can get to the H65 and you can write it out. Super helpful. All right, let's look at this one. We have the same thing for CPT codes. You know that right off the bat, we're looking for our differences between our 84 and 83, right? What did I do with the CPT book? Lord. So let's go look at our two differences between these codes. 66, 9. Wednesday, Peachy's having theirs. Tandra, thanks for sharing the live. Thanks for the follow, guys. Thanks, Go Kart. I hope that's helpful. What online courses or certifications to go through? I go through quite a bit of them. I've taken so many of their certification courses. I've done CPB, CRC, COC, CPMA. Goodness gracious, my mind has gone blank. It always does that when I'm trying to do something new. Teach y'all something new. Let's see. I've done the CRC course recently. I know I've done the CPCO course. I just finished that one. I did the CEMC course, the COC, the CSSC course for orthopedic surgery. I'm working my way through all of them. And I pull my exam questions from any of those, including AHIMA's practice exam questions, so that I can help out the CCS and CCA people too. I'm looking into medical coding and billing. What do you recommend? My 3 top pinned TikToks up in the corner. If you tap on my little blue logo, watch those 3 pinned TikToks, super short. They tell you exactly what I recommend, and I recommend don't do in a course. The worst area is comp and regs. Are there some books, but most aren't. Island Mountain, thank you for doing a subscription to TikTok. Don't forget, with your YouTube or your TikTok subscription, there are extra PDF pictures of some of my anatomy pictures that are exclusive to you TikTokers. And be sure and check that area out so you can see those. Pocket Prep is amazing, beautiful. We love Pocket Prep. For the guidelines and stuff, I recommend for the laws and regulations just to write those in your ICD-10 or CPT book, like this is the year that this went into effect, or Obamacare went into effect on this year, whatever dates and stuff or laws that you need. I highly recommend just doing that. That way you can just quickly, let me see, I'm trying to show her. You can quickly just find those answers during your exam. Okay, now how do I get rid of that? There we go. And then this is supposed to be showing you guys that, but let me see. Get over here and see. What are you showing? You're not showing anything for some reason. Let's see. Shared gallery? Nope. All right. We'll close that and we'll just do another one. Window, capture, 2. There we go. There we go. Her question. Pocket Prep, that was her question. Yes. If you're over here on my website, these are my shared gallery photos. I was looking up to see which certificates I had. If you go to my website, medicalcodingbyjen.com, super easy. The link to Pocket Prep is right there, that big pink one. Just click it. It'll take you straight over to Pocket Prep. Click on Medical, and the very top one is AAPC. And they have 750 practice exam questions with rationales and page numbers that tell you where the answers are. They do have a pass guarantee, super helpful. It's $13 to $15 a month if you want access to all of them. Super cool. You can put the phone app on your phone, or you can do it on a desktop. It doesn't matter, but I like putting it on my phone. That way you can just take the practice exam questions wherever you go. They do all 18 areas of the certification exam, including cases. You can build exams and just do all cardiovascular questions or all cases. They have 75 of those. Super handy dandy, and if you do use the link, of course, I do get a little bit of that $15, a couple of dollars, and that money I throw back into my YouTube channel and give away YouTube memberships. So super helpful. Let me blank that out and let's go back to our practice question. But yes, I find Pocket Prep super helpful. Whether you're doing CCS or CCA or any of the CPC exams, I think it's super helpful. All right. This practice question, 669. We are at what type of procedure? 6698. What is our header? We're under intraocular lens procedures. What are our differences between the 84 and your 83? One of them is intra, one of them is extra. I have all of those differences marked in and highlighted in the CPT book, whether I'm in the musculoskeletal section or in cardiovascular or back here with the eyes. Extra and intra is used throughout the book, and knowing what the definition of those differences mean, and then giving yourself a color code and just color coding the word extra and then the word intra into 2 different color codes, I find is super helpful during the exam. If you remember to look at your color codes. A lot of people just are freaked out and are hyper-focused on their exam. They completely forget about all their highlights and what they mean during the exam. So practicing during stressful situations, like doing a tutoring session with me, is super helpful for a lot of people, because I don't know why, but I seem to be pretty intimidating when they do tutoring with me and they're all nervous. But I know you're going to be just as nervous during your online exam, so I guess it's good to be nervous. But I think it's funny since we talk on here nearly daily, and y'all should be nervous about tutoring with me or doing a practice question with me. So are we intra or extra? Let's check out our question. How would we know? How would this tell you? Do you know what your acronyms mean? They're both intraocular lens prosthetics. So they both have that in there. So they're both ILPs, IOLPs. They both are doing insertions. How do you know? Travis, I can hear you from here and you're eating in the living room. That's not appropriate. You need to be eating in there. No, I could hear Travis' mouth full of food while he's in the living room. He's not supposed to be eating in the living room. We have a huge kitchen table that's attached to the freaking living room, but he won't eat there. Keep all the food and crumbs in one location for me. Super helpful. Yep, both CPT codes, like if you have no notes written in your book at all, right? Wrong one. That's this one. Oop, wrong one still. Where did my notes go? There we go. So if you have no notes written in your book, both the 64 and the 63 are intraocular lens prosthetics. Intraocular lens prosthetics. Both are stage 1 procedure. The 84 is manual or mechanical. It does say that. It does have irrigation and aspiration, and it has a pharmacological solution. Noted. But you'd have to sit here and figure out what your differences are during your exam. Oops, turn that off. There we go. So we did do that right there. So we know we're going to be the 84 because we added the pharmacy stuff, right? Now we need to know, would we add a second code to it or not? Is whatever we did today all located in one code, or are we going to add the 7515? Is there any parentheticals that say do not use it? which are over on the second page over there. Or can we add our 6, 7, 5, 15, 6, 7, 5, 15 is not an add-on code, which tells me something super helpful, that it's its own procedure. It is a separate billable procedure. It's not something we would tack on to another procedure. If we did it, it would be a separate surgery. And that's an injection of medication. But if you understand the differences between the 83 and the 84, you understand that the 84 includes that injection already. And this is not an add-on code. It is a code that is a separate procedure. So they just want to know, do you know if that injection right there is included in this right there? More than anything, a lot of times these questions are built to see if they can talk you into overbilling, because they don't want a lot of people out there coding that could be tricked into overbilling. They do want people that are conservative, that will bill correctly, that understand that that code includes all the things that it does include. And the CPT code book that they create, that they give us to use during this exam, actually does not include a full descriptor of what is written with a CPT code. When they create new CPT codes, there's a full descriptor with examples, and there's an interoperative note, what you would expect to be included in the code, like things that the doctor does before the procedure that's included in it, stuff that the doctor does after the procedure that's included in it. And a full descriptor of these codes is not what you're getting. You're getting an abbreviated variation in this book. So it is kind of rough during the exam to not have the full descriptor. That's why the EHR system is far superior, because we can get a full descriptor written for these books and know exactly what's going on in that procedure and what it all covers. And they know that when they write these exam questions. So they go by what's missing in the descriptor and create questions based off that to see if they can confuse you. All right, what kind of procedure is being done if we are doing the process of inserting a balloon catheter into a narrow or occluded blood vessel to dilate the vessel by inflating the balloon? What kind of procedure is that? Angio, arthro, or angio? We've got a plasty, a graphy, a tomy, or graphy. Knowing those prefixes, suffixes, and endings is super helpful. Digital Meek. Thank you, guys. Good, I'm glad you did. If Pocket Prep, hello, I'm Mika. I start school on the 30th of September. Any tips or sessions or warnings? Thank you so much, Digital Meek, for the necklace. You guys are awesome. Thank you, guys. I like Pocket Prep because of the page numbers. If you purchase the AAPC version of the ICD-10 and the HitPix book, they tell you where the answers can be found, and then that helps you learn how to use parts of the book. I think everybody picked D. Good job, guys. Suffix for this one refers to what? Malformed, hard, soft, displaced. I make a lot of this seem really easy since I'm reading it out to you. Just keep in mind, you will not have me reading out the questions or anything to you during the exam. So a lot of times, the best practice is, of course, watch the live with me, but if you ever want to go back and do any of my older lives or repeat ones that you've seen before, just turn my volume off and then pause the screen as soon as I show the question. Set a timer on your desk for 2 minutes and then see if you can't figure out where the answer is or how to find the answer. Super helpful. Then when the timer goes off, pick an answer and see if you got it right. Release the video, and of course I show you the answer or rationale. You still don't need my volume up, but then you can write notes in the book. Find it very, very helpful during your study process if you always go look and find why the wrong answer is wrong too, not just why the right answer is right. What in the book will tell you that that's wrong? Super helpful. I got B's and C's for this one. B's and C's. C. Softening of the bone. Don't forget, in the very front of your CPT book, you do have a list of the prefixes, suffixes, root words. There is a page up there. What about this one? That's stomach pains, stomach condition, intestinal, or cramping. We've got 2 pains, 1 condition, and 1 cramping. I find it funny. Do y'all watch those TikToks where the guys put on the period cramp videos, stimulators, whatever they want to call them? You'll put one on a lady, they'll crank it all the way up to 10, and she'll sit there the whole video going, yeah, that's pretty much what I get every day. And then the guys are screaming at level 1 already, and she's sitting there going, okay, go wash the dishes, go do the laundry, go mop the floor. B is this one. A system is responsible for raising of the blood pressure and shutting down the digestive system and the rise of the breathing. Which system is responsible for rising of our blood pressure? Sympathetic, parasympathetic, central, somatic. What do you guys think? You looking for similarities, irregularities? It's definitely part of your nervous system. What part of the nervous system? You have 2 answers that start off with the letter S. Three of them, the first word ends in a C. Good job, A. Perfect. If we are back here at my website I also have some practice exam questions. I have a bunch that are underneath the practice area tab right there that are free for everybody. You can just come to this area, click on an answer, and see if you got it right. The rationale immediately will pop up. Bunch of modifier questions, bunch of anatomy questions. You can do all those for free. I have some 3 sets of flashcards that are completely free and some PDF downloads that are free right here too, that can help out. I like this cardiovascular one. And then the flashcards are meant to help you with the E&M section so that you can remember what the headers are for those E&M questions. That way you can be more confident. You're not having to look up every single E&M during the E&M question area. You'll know that by looking at the question, like 2 of the answers are established, 2 of the answers are new patient. Okay, they want to know if I know the difference between new or established. Okay, I'm going to go look in the question just to see if the patient's been to see this doctor before. That'll eliminate 2 answers. That's what my intention is for these flashcards, is for you to do them over and over again, leave the program and rejoin the program and do them over and over again. It's completely free until you learn what those headers are. And then that way you'll be really cool at the E&M part of your exam, because you know what the headers are. You know exactly what you're going to be looking for in the exam question. So those are super helpful. But I do have a membership. If you do want to do practice questions in a bunch of areas, they're super small. You can do a $5.99 one that'll do all the practice questions for E&M, integumentary, cardiovascular, anesthesia, and diagnoses. And then if you want to spend $8, you get them the modifiers, the oncology, a bunch more expanded practice question area, including the guidelines, which I haven't written in here yet. But those are just pages. You get access to these pages where you can go to these questions and you can just do the question and see if you got it correct or incorrect. And super cool. There's additional PDFs here too that are available that are just bonus stuff that I find over the internet. Anatomy charts, dermatology charts, integumentary charts. There's a bunch for integumentary. But it's kind of like Pocket Prep. It's just I don't have page numbers down where the answers are, so I'm not as good as they are. But it's still a pretty good price for a ton of practice questions. I just have tons and tons. I just redid anesthesia. Had a couple of questions that were wrong. I fixed those and then added a bunch more questions last night to help strengthen this area up. Super cool. Some more of the external causes, emergency codes that you might add, more modifier ones if you're working in anesthesia. So super cool. And units of operation, this would be more like a CCS question, but still a lot of them are for that units one would be more for COC or CCS, but this 99100 one is definitely for CPC. So there's a lot of questions for everybody in these areas, so just to help you guys out. Need to find a way to put a comment underneath each question or something that you guys can leave, because what if one is just incorrect or y'all have questions or don't understand the rationale? Because I get a lot of emails about them and then I got to go find which one they're talking about, and then it's like impossible for me to find which one they're talking about. But that would be cool if I could figure out how to do that on the question. That way y'all can leave comments, y'all can talk and discuss the questions, and that would be neat. Then maybe I could go back and see underneath the comments, okay, this question got a ton of comments, what's going on here, and see what y'all are talking about. But hopefully they are super helpful for you guys. There's just a blue million of them, and I work in all my spare time to work on those questions to help you guys out. There's a bonus CRC area for just the CRC certification. So once you finish and do your CPC or something, CRC is super popular with employers, and they really want a lot of risk adjusters. So if you ever decide to go here, I've got almost 600 practice questions just on CRC with some bonus PDFs here for you guys too that you can just download right there, including info sheets on certain diseases that are super helpful for CRC. So it's the second most popular certificate for AAPC. So some of these are cool little things. So there's a separate area for that once you finish your CPC. So hopefully that stuff is helpful. Don't forget, if you go under the resources tab, I've got a free area with book prep videos, including how I book prep individual codes. There's also a FAQ area that has how to join our free Discord study group that has even more practice exam questions in it, what to expect on exam day. There's always somebody in there to help you out, because I'm just one lady on the internet. I cannot get to every email, every question that's on all my social media posts, the Instagram, the TikTok messages, the emails. Can't get to everybody, but Discord is super helpful, because like I've got 138 people in there right now that could answer a question, but I also have over 6,000 people that have joined it. It's completely free, and those people will see questions and answer them too. Y'all help out in that area. But underneath this free and best list of resources tab, check that out. There's a free grant here from AAPC that you can fill out to get free books, free exam attempts, free membership. If you've already paid for a membership and been a member for a year, then you're eligible to fill out a grant form and get that free for the next year. Also, there's a free grant for pocket prep right there. Super helpful. You can fill that out. I know lots of people that have gotten pocket prep for free. So don't forget to click on all my tabs. Don't be afraid to click on anything. There's a ton of free resources. The blog is super helpful. It's got job resources, coding resources for you guys. Just a plethora of information. And all my blogs include practice exam questions with rationale to show you how to do it. There's a 9-chapter book I wrote on just the elements of E&M. With practice exam questions. I draw pictures, all kinds of stuff, spinal surgeries. So these blogs are completely free for you guys if you want to look at those and get to be an expert in those areas. Go to the social media tab, and to join our Discord is just by clicking that join now button right there. Super helpful. And our YouTube, Facebook group, and our Pinterest is there too. So tons of little areas for you guys to play around and network with each other and help out each other. If I'm not around. All right, back to the questions. What about which one is the best for demonstrating passive immunity? Thank you for all the taps and shares there on TikTok. Be sure and ask any questions if you guys got questions. Oh, it's wanting me to do a puzzle on, how about this one? Close. Let me verify. Oh my goodness. Can't do these puzzles because I can't see where to end because my big old thumb is in the way. There we go. All right, I verified it. It took me 8 times, 8 puzzles. Oh my goodness. I'm surprised they let me do it that many times. But if you put your finger on the puzzle, then you can't see where you're going to drop the puzzle because it covers up, I don't know if anybody else has that issue, but I can't see where I'm dropping it. Are we talking about childhood vaccines, ingesting milk? Are we talking about catching a cold or exposure to chickenpox? We have 26 on YouTube and 20 likes. Thank you guys. Give out some YouTube subscriptions. Send YouTube $26.85. They're so funny with their taxes and stuff. I think they get more sales if they made everything end in 00. All right, Kate, Jackie, Go-Kart, Hamilton, and Sharon all won a YouTube membership. I hope that helps out. Passive immunity, what does that mean? What does it mean when you have passive immunity? Pass means what? When a mom transfers her immunity to her kid, we're passing along immunity, right? A vaccine means we're giving them the immunity. Catching a cold means you've caught the cold. The next time you're exposed to that cold, your body will react faster. And being exposed to chickenpox is not passing immunity. That's giving a child a disease. So the word pass. B is the answer. Got it, Preet? Yay. Hope that's helpful. Good job. TikTok got it all right. What about hormones? Are we dealing with a lack of activity, a hypo, negative feedback system, or hyper? We do have two answers that start out with H, two answers that start out with the letter A. Hormones are only produced when the body senses its need for them. If the level of blood are stable for certain hormones, whether injected or created by the body, these hormones will no longer be produced. What is that known as? You're welcome. Did anybody see, somebody took their exam today. I wonder if they got on. They might not have known that I was going to go live on Saturday. I'm wondering how they did. Negative feedback system. Yep. Negative feedback system for hormone production is described in the question. ICD-10, the code to report for a previous excision or eradicated malignant lesion is what? Do we do the malignant neoplasm code, an unspecified neoplasm code, personal history code, or family history code? Super easy peasy one if you know what the two E words mean. That would be the only issue probably. Good job. Yes, C. Perfect. When coding for a reaction to a wrong dose of medication given to a patient, it is important to report the blank first: the manifestation code, the poisoning code, the drug, chemical, substance that's caused the poisoning, or none of the above. What do you guys think? We got 16 on TikTok. What do you guys think is the answer? Got 20 or so on YouTube. Where would you find the answer if you had 2 minutes? Where's my diagnosis code book? Let's see. So if we're in our ICD-10 book, sorry, wrong one, looking for camera. If we're in our ICD-10 book, we've got our index here of stuff, and our conventions is A. B is our general coding guidelines, and C is a chapter specific for coding guidelines. Chapter 1 is for diseases and infections. Chapter 2 is neoplasms. It goes in the same order as the codes do, like codes A, right? In the A area is for infectious diseases, parasites, right? And then B is for our same thing, diseases and parasitic infections. Our C is for our neoplasms, right? D, we're going to have blood, organisms, immune mechanisms. So if you keep going down, it's going to be in the same order. C is our chapter 2. C2 is our neoplasms. And then we would be looking for, what are we looking for? For the wrong dose of medication. For that history question, to be able to find that answer, right? M, current malignancies versus our history of malignancies, and that's where you find your answer is G13. So you go to G13, and that's where that particular answer for the previous question would be on G13. Here are your guidelines on follow-up after it's been removed. What would be going on in our M section? M, where's M? Right there. And it tells you to use the Z code. Anyway, for previous question, just in case you didn't know where to find the answer. For this one, when coding for a reaction to a wrong dose of medication given to a patient, it is important to report manifestation, poisoning code, the drug, chemical, substance caused, or none of the above. What do you guys think? What is AAPC's favorite answer? What's their favorite answer? Because I don't see anybody giving a correct answer yet. There you go, go-kart. None of the above or all of the above. Nothing really fits, right? The manifestation code, a poisoning code, the drug chemical substance code. We need the injury code, right? What happened? Because our external causes, right? You go to your external causes about what goes first, right? And hopefully you've got my notes, or you wrote in like I did how it was caused as number 1. Number 2 is intent, place, activity, or status. So anything colored in orange is going to be our very first one, right? So if you've color coded like I did, look for anything that is orange. Those are all blue, green, yellow. Where's the orange? There's pink. You'd find what code is going to go first, how it was caused, what were they doing? Did they swallow it? Did they get hit by a baseball? Those kind of things is, you know, how was it, how did the injury code? How did it happen? Was it suicide? Was it prescribed by a physician? Then it, you know, it was because they had tonsillitis or whatever and they were given an antibiotic, but they were allergic to it. That's what's going to go first, is how was it caused? How was it caused? And there's no how here. Lab and path. Got some fun ones here. Let's see. This one is on the CPC certification exam, I believe. A certain version of this one is on the exam. So I want to make sure you guys saw this one. We've got a difference between our 30 and our 47 code. Let's go see what's going on with these two CPT codes. So if anybody's taken the exam recently, when you get to these codes, let me know if you remember this being on your exam recently. 804. The numbers specifically might give you a clue as to what the answer is. And then 829. Kids are watching Pirates of the Caribbean and I can hear the ship being battered. 804.30. If you look at the very top of your CPT page, it says we're doing evo or suppression testing. If you look at the top of the page for 82947, the top of the page says this is a chemistry test. Clearing those headers and deciding if you're supposed to be doing chemistry or if you're doing suppression testing is a huge benefit. I've had several people get 100% on their lab and path exams recently in their CPC exam if they remembered to look at their available answers, confirm that they're under the right header, which fortunately I wish every chapter was done this way. Lab and path has a header for every page listed up there for you. So are we doing chemistry? Are we doing suppression testing? Oh. Here we go. And right there in the first line, you do see that you're doing suppression, right? So that's cool. We will need our 80430 because we know we're doing suppression. So anything just doing chemistry can't be the answer because we did get ordered in suppression. So we know B cannot be the correct answer because it does not include some suppression studies. The only thing that's being done in answer B is chemistry testing, right? So that's helpful. It's clearing those headers. Does everybody see what I'm talking about at the very top of the page? It's near the code numbers, like for the 82947 code. It's up at the tippy top near the right hand side next to the numbers. It says 82800-83013. Thank you so much for the gifts. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the heart puffs and all the other gifts you guys are giving. Thank you for the heart me's. I see them. I follow you guys on TikTok. Every gifter I try to follow. I request. Some people have their accounts like you can't follow them. They don't post or whatever, and that's fine. But I do try to follow all of you guys. I love seeing y'all's TikToks. Whatever's going on in your lives, I like seeing it and encouraging and sharing your lives or TikToks. So don't be surprised if I see you guys or pop in on your own lives. So you know you're doing a suppression, so that's helpful. So what is going on in our 80430? That has 3 glucoses and 4 human growth hormones. What happens when you have a 4th glucose when 80430 only has 3 in it? What do you do then? This question was on your exam that you did in June, Preet. Awesome. And none of the new codes were on my exam, but I missed it by 2 points. That's really good score. That's awesome score, I think. You're just 2 questions away from passing. It's wonderful. Boning up on a couple of sections that you did lower in, like E&M, or any of the CPT areas like integumentary, cardiovascular, all the way through the nervous system is a great way to guarantee that you pass the next time. Anesthesia, those kind of areas are great. Don't worry about hip picks. There's only 3 questions on it on the exam. If we look at our 82947, that is glucose quantitative blood, no reagent strip. If we times 2 it, does that equal 4 glucose test? If we use it by itself, does that equal the 4 glucose test? 830. 36 is what? That's a hemoglobin. Not got anything to do with what we're doing today at all. 36 is hemoglobin A1C. Sort of a glucose, but that's just a 90-day average. So we know we're not doing that. They just want to know, do we know that this one equals this times 3? And this one times 2. That means, let's see, this one has 3 glucose in it. This one still has 3 glucose right here. This would be 2 more. Would we order the test that uses 3 or the one that appears to be doing it 5 times? It's like they want you to sit here and stare at it forever. Found some rationale here at the bottom that didn't come with this question, but somewhere over the internet, but this question came with this rationale. So I'll put them both on here for you guys to review. It says that the 82947 is a code for a glucose test, which needs to be reported separately if it is outside of the panel. Since the 80430 does not inherently cover the specific number of glucose tests done, the additional glucose test should be reported separately. 2 units of 82947 are reported to account for the extra glucose test. And it says multiple, like totaling 4 tests. This one, the test says it's only 4. I wonder if there's not a typo that should be 5 glucose tests, or what they're talking about, because the code inside the CPT book covers 3. Why they would be times 2ing it when we only need 1 more, I'm not sure. But a lot of times it's just human error. See, totaling of 4. Totaling for the glucose test, like it's multiple tests that are missing. But it does say 4 there. But the code covers 3 of them. So, I don't know. Maybe you guys are seeing something that I don't see. My weak point are the 1000s and the 2000 series. where does it say growth hormones? So in there, in here, and then on in your CPT book. So in your CPT book, the 4030 right here says it includes glucose times 3 and human growth hormone times 4. Right there. So if we have 3 glucose here, why are we times 2ing an outside glucose test? Why wouldn't it be just reported one more time? But of the available answers that are in front of us, a lot of times you get stuck in this loop on the exam, you know, looking for, I know this needs a modifier, you know, or I know this is for a specific age. We can't get into the loop of looking for things that are not available to us. What is in front of us is 2 answers that it could be, and it only 2 answers it could be. It cannot be B, because B is only a bunch of glucose tests, and that's it. It can't be D, because it's the glucose test one time and a hemoglobin A1C one time. It can't be that. The only one with the hormones levels, growth hormone levels, is C or A. They ordered 4 and 4. What's inside A is 3 and 4. What's inside C is technically 3 and 5. And that's, maybe I should write that in the order of the exam question. So if I look at this from the exam question, how many glucose tests were ordered in this one? Is 3 glucose tests and then 4 hormones. What is in answer C? For glucose test, it's 5 glucose tests and 4 hormones. Both have the 4 hormones in them, but did we do 3 or did we do 5? And sometimes the answer is you cannot bill additional unless you did additional, or sometimes the answer is you have to let go of one and not bill for the extra one. I'm not sure how they're getting their answer as C. Like I said, I think this is a coding or an exam question error that they've written, but it is on the exam, this question, and I don't know if they fixed their answer or what the answer, different answers are on the exam, but the one that they want for the people that wrote this question and gave me their rationale, they want the times 2 to give us 5 glucose tests. 2 units equals 4. I don't know how that's right. But it's what they're saying here. And it's what's in here too. Therefore, combining the 2 is accurate. So we have to learn about what answers they want and what's correct for them. C is what they want, and it's what I would write in my CPT book for an example for this question, is if you ordered 4 and 4, this is the answer that they want, according to the question that they have written in practice. And they have the rationale written out here, but it's still unhelpful. There are 4 glucose tests performed. Look at the CPT index. You will get code blank, and it's reported for the 4th test. And see this one, the rationale that I found, I think that they're saying in that right here, that whoever wrote that question, that their answer for that question is just this answer without the times 2. Because you can see here that they report the one code, the 2947, by itself as the 4th test, and that would be correct. But the way they wrote this question, where they didn't give us that option, this one has the times 2, and there is no option to code it by itself. And if we pick A, it does not include the 82947, and we have to have that to do the 4th glucose, no matter what. So we would just pick C, because it's the better of the 2 answers, because it includes the additional 82947 code. Sorry, I got you guys all covered up with the camera. But you can tell from this rationale that I found that that's the available answer for whoever wrote whatever question that goes with, but I couldn't find it written that way. Travis, stop it. I'm going to turn off your phone for an hour because of this. He's distracting me. I find errors in AAPC's questions sometimes. The area of practice questions I just bought for $250. The first set of questions had some errors in it where the answer in the rationale is told to be a specific answer, and that's the answer that I picked, but they still counted it as an incorrect answer. I hope, Lord, that their exam is not set up with errors like that too, because we don't get to see our questions and answers, and we can't audit our exam to make sure that our exam score is correct. But if you're right at that 69, 68 percentile, man, it'd be heartbreaking to think that they have an answer that is marked incorrectly for you. But hopefully, whatever their exam questions are, they've triple, double checked those for a fact that the answers are correct. Travis, come here. Right now. No. Last chance. I've been in here 3 times. Come on. Come in here now. Come on. You get time out. Come on. Travis? When your 15-year-old refuses time out, he's like, I'll just go to my room. All right. This question is our next one. I know I posted one on Facebook recently to show off how wrong it was. I'm like, oh no. Yeah, they don't send you the exam results or the questions at all. You're rescheduled for 9/25. Maggie, there are specific tiny little differences on the COC exam. A lot of times, let me see if I can find a question real quick. What page am I on? I'm on page 309 right here. Y'all help me remember 309. That's where we're at. But on the COC exam, you're going to have like these cases that are labeled a particular surgery. I wonder if I can find an example real quick. But you know those cases where the surgery is all labeled for you? Oh my gosh, my neighbor, a brand new neighbor with a Chihuahua, and that dog is so loud. Yep, yep, yep. Can y'all hear him? I hope he's getting buffered out. Right there. There's one, maybe. It's different. I'm looking for a surgery example. Where they have a question that'll list a certain surgery is being done in the preoperative, postoperative description in the very top, and they'll label the surgery like a meniscus or something being done, and it'll even say postoperative what the procedure was. But if you read in the note that it wasn't just a colonoscopy or a meniscus surgery done, that they actually also ablated something, but that's not up there in the top of the procedure note saying they did it. That's what you get wrong on the COC exam. What's inside the surgery note will describe an additional surgery or an additional code that you may have done that's not listed in the top header in those op notes. Where you're practicing those kind of questions, be sure to look for that kind of stuff during your COC exam. Make sure if they said they only did unilateral meniscus repair, look for that bilateral side being done also, because they may have gone into the medial side or the lateral side and actually did a repair, but it looks like from the header of the surgery that they didn't. So that's a really good observation of the COC certification exam, is to make sure you're doing that. All right, back to our question. I didn't find an example on this set of questions that I've got, but I hope that makes some sort of sense for you. Right here, the first thing I'm thinking about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 diagnosis codes, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. How many diagnosis codes do I have for today? Is what I'm thinking. Would I be circulatory, diabetes, endocrine, something like that? Diseases, then kidneys, then more endocrine, and then a status code, like they had an organ removed or history of. Do I need to have those there? Would we be starting out with an I code or an E code? In our diagnosis code book, E codes are part of the endocrine, nutritional, metabolic diseases, and then our I codes are, isn't that circulatory? B, C, D, E, F, G, I is way on back there. Circulatory system, yep. So let's scoochie down and see. Anybody taking CRC or the CPC or CCS exam, these kind of things are time cutters. I'm trying to cut down my time on this particular example because it's got so many things I need to be looking at. I'm trying to think of ways to cut down my time. So our patient was diagnosed with pleural effusion due to chronic congestive heart failure, then dehydration, then a blood clot, UTI, then diabetes, right? So pleural effusion due to chronic and acute congestive heart failure. How would that be coded? Looking for similarities, we've got A, B, and C start off with the same diagnosis, then only A and B have the second same diagnosis. Would we have a circulatory and then a J code? J is respiratory, right? If we're looking for similarities, of course I like A, B, and C. I would get rid of D. Out of A, B, and C, I would get rid of C because the J comes up way. We don't have anything in respiratory that I know of. I get rid of that. Then our differences are either this D69, a 4 or a 6, or whether we add a Z code or not. If we look at our D69s, D69s are dealing with hemorrhage conditions, right? Our fourth digit differences are either allergy, quantitative, other, immune, or other. And then 5 is secondary, 6 is other. 6 is other, secondary. 4 is other, primary. They want to know if we know if that thrombocytopenia is a primary one or whether it's secondary to something else. If you're looking at the fifth digit differences. Doesn't appear that this thrombopenia is secondary to anything that I see of, right? What do you guys think? I did all 4 practice exams. I did really well. Just bummed. It makes sense. Thank you. Maggie, be sure and go see in those practice exam questions why each answer is wrong. What in the books would tell you it's wrong. That is super helpful. You had 18 minutes left. It was so stressful. A lot of people say those cases at the end are easier because in the CPC exam, it's exactly what's written in the preoperative and postoperative note at the very top. It's what the surgery is up there, or what the diagnosis is. It's right there in the pre-op, post-op. If you're doing COC, it may not be exactly what's written up there, so that's the only hard part. What do you guys think on TikTok? We still have just 5 of you guys on TikTok. Yeah, the whole thing is streaming on YouTube, so that may be a better view for you guys, for sure. How do we know it's not secondary? It says right here, and thrombocytopenia with hemorrhage. If it was secondary due to something or another or whatever, like their pancreas stopped functioning or whatever, it would definitely say it here in the note. She just has it. It's primary. It's just a primary thing that happened. Especially condition improves by final diagnosis. Right here too, if it was secondary due to something like her pleural effusion was secondary due to her chronic heart failure, right? It would say it. Right here, it also says primary thrombopenia for you in the list of diagnosis codes. It doesn't say secondary, so that's super handy dandy. But also the note would have said it was secondary, but right here they make it super simple by saying primary. And the only difference between A and B is primary and secondary. And up here at the top of your fourth digits of the 6, 9, you could put fourth, 4 equals primary, P, 6 equals S, secondary. Then you've got a note about your fourth digit. So if you ever come across these codes again of your D69, you know that the fourth digit would be primary, 6th digit. The 6 in the fourth digit area would be secondary. So you've already done the work of looking up the differences. Might as well highlight it. You never remember all of that all over again, because they're both other, right? And having two others and then not knowing the differences between the two others, yeah, you've already done the work of looking it up. Make note of it. She's on a long-term history of medications for her diabetes. As far as her type 2 is concerned, that's why we have our Z code at the end, in case you didn't pick it up in the right here. If you work in a primary care physician office and you do coding for them, you know that those two codes go synonymous together, right? But if you're learning and you're doing a practice exam question, you may not know that that Z code goes with your diabetes all the time. They're on oral meds. They could be on injectable meds. It just depends, but it may change. Anyway, I hope that's helpful. All right, let's I meant to put this above this question, and I put it in the middle of the question. I almost got it up to the top. There we go. All right. For this question, we've got T code. Oh, thank you for all the heart puffs. Hey, Himmy, how are you doing? It's a terrible view on here. It's streaming on live on YouTube where they get a full direct view, but this is just streaming with a second device. That way I'm streaming on YouTube and TikTok at the same time. That way my video gets saved on YouTube and then they can watch the replay. That way I don't have to download it on TikTok and then post it on YouTube. That's the way I used to do my videos. But now I just stream it on OBS on my second screen, and then I just use my cell phone here and stream the view on a cell phone to TikTok, and then I have everybody mostly on YouTube watching the stream. But that way you get a few viewers to catch up and see you on TikTok, and then mainly I've got the video streaming on YouTube so that I can save it there and don't have to do anything and download it. And if I want to edit it, I can edit it on YouTube. If anybody is on TikTok and want to watch one of the traveling people on TikTok, I am a mod for Henry here. He is on TikTok streaming from China. It is so fascinating. I love watching him and his family. He's got 2 sons. I've got, the 3 sons, so we have a lot in common, and I love watching his TikTok stream. He's looks at a lot of businesses and areas around him and his wife's hometowns to see what it really looks like there. One of these days, me and my IT director, my oldest son, are going to go to China and visit. But it takes forever and a day to get there. It's a really long flight, so we'll probably, start off in some shorter destinations from the United States and then work our way towards that area. But we want to spend about a month there one time, and before we knock it off this planet and visit. So I love watching those types of TikTok channels. And I like Henry because he's super sweet. And he's not, making comments about all the girls on the screen, like some of the other ones do. It's like, oh, I don't want to hear all that. But so he's really nice. I like watching him, and he's very sincere, and we get a real view of what's going on his TikTok channel. Anyway, he's in my follow list, and he just posted some hearts on my TikTok stream. So if you guys are around, y'all give him a follow. Alright, here we're at the T codes, right? Are we doing a diagnosis that is an injury code, or is our diagnosis in the R section, which is a different section totally in our ICD-10 book? Would this primary diagnosis for today's visit be a symptom, or would it be a T code? That's our differences between these answers. I always like to go look at that first. You need to practice that a lot because you won't be able to color code, during your online exam. You're going to have to figure out how to do this in your mind's eye. So let's go look down at the bottom and see what our patient was diagnosed with. Was diagnosed with an overdose and a bad attempt, some ideations, and some intoxication. So would those be symptoms? Probably. They probably are symptoms of some underlying condition, but for today's visit, would we be doing a T code or an R code? And that gets the question down to a 50-50 shot for you guys so that you can eliminate some answers right away. You took your CPC back in 2009. Your employer requires a COC. It's more intense. It is, Maggie. Finite little details. COC on AAPC does have 6 practice exam packets too. COC has an A, B, C, D, E, and F also, so super cool. We definitely would be a T code, so yep, I would eliminate that one, and I would eliminate B. That helps get your focus down to 2 sets. What's our differences between answers A and C? There's just a tiny little difference right here in one of our F codes. Are we a 4th digit of a 2 or a 1? What would be those 4th digit differences in that code set? There's got to be one. It can't be like unilateral or bilateral like we found in our previous questions, but let's go look at F19, not 4, F19. F19 in our guidebook is other psychoactive substance-related disorders. Our 4th digit differences are other for 1, other, and then what's our 2? Our 2 is also other, so the other is not helpful. One of them is psychoactive substance abuse and dependence. All right. So our 2 and our 1 difference, the 1 is abuse and our 2 is dependence. So was this patient diagnosed with abuse or dependence? That is our 4th code differences. 4th digit. There we go. He was diagnosed with dependence, right? Unfortunately, it was not down here at the bottom that I noticed, right? At our final diagnoses at the discharge, so we had to go find it in our note, and that happened to be in the middle, right there. Now, that makes A our answer. Yep. Easy peasy, right? Hold on, TikTok. I'll be right back. All right, TikTok, I'm back. Yep, A would be our answer. Good job. Lordy, look at all of those. I know, whole bunch. All right, more easy peasy ones. Okay, guys, what makes an adjustable gastric band unique compared to other bariatric procedures? Is it non-reversible, requires an inpatient stay, it's adjustable, or it doesn't require any postoperative adjustments at all. It seems like universally that most of the answers have the word adjustment in them. There's a couple of them that have that. Reversible seems to be something. So what do you know about an adjustable gastric band compared to other gastric procedures? What is unique about it? Did you get them birds? Did you get them birds, Sammy? A lot of times the answer is the longest answer in these wordy ones. Yeah, C is your answer. Easy peasy. Plus it's the answer with the longest answer. What is the primary purpose of placing a restrictive device around the stomach in a bariatric surgery? Is it to remove portion of the stomach, to decrease the functional size, to reroute the intestines, or remove excessive fat? What's the purpose? Himmy's Wonders. That's the TikTok page. But his name's Henry. Decrease the functional size. Perfect. Good job. Which of the following is true about the adjustable gastric restrictive device procedure? It is always performed in an inpatient procedure. It is permanent procedure that cannot be reversed. The amount of food passing through the banded area can be adjusted, or it does not involve any of the follow-up for initial surgery. Got D's and C's. I got B's on TikTok. C is the answer. It's the amount of food that passes through the area can be adjusted. Which of the following describes key features of the adjustable gastric banding procedure that's reported with 43770? Wanted to see if that was the correct CPT code because I haven't audited these questions. 43700. Because we updated some of these codes this year or last year. So I wasn't sure. 370. Okay, laparoscopic, gastric restrictive procedure, adjustable. B is correct. Good job. It is restrictive device. That's all they wanted to know about that one. So still a good question. Which code should be assigned for a gastrotomy with Explore for a foreign body removal? Let's see, 436s, so we're in the right area. And we have one that's 3500. That's an incision. If we're looking at our headers, that's an incision. Our 43621 is under the header of excision. 44 is under the header of laparoscopic, and 53 is also under the header of laparoscopic. What did we do? Did we do an incision, an excision, or a laparoscopic? Good job, guys. Good job. D is correct. Perfect. And in case you didn't know, I know it says gastrotomy and it matches with the header and the descriptor, but did you know that that was an incisional surgery? If you didn't know that and know that that was part of the descriptor, be sure and write that down beside the descriptor, that these are all laparoscopic and that this one would be an excision. Those differences help. Be sure and look up why the wrong answers are wrong, what inside each one of those CPT descriptors or the headers would tell you you're in the wrong area, even if you didn't have this particular word to go by. What else would tell you you were in the wrong area? That can be super helpful during your exam. What distinguishes laparoscopic procedures from open procedures in stomach surgeries? Is it that they do larger incisions, they involve multiple access points, they require smaller incisions, or open procedures are less invasive? Less surgery time, yep, because they have less incisions, smaller incisions. Yep. Shorter hospital stays, many of them are done same day procedures. For which procedure is this one, the surgical technique is most common for? That procedure is mentioned on the CPC exam recently. I don't know what the exam question is about or how it's written, but those words are on the exam. Knowing all about that type of procedure, what codes are affected, what the differences between the procedures that do correlate with that particular word, super helpful for your exam. Is it with an explore with a bypass? Or is it a removal? When they say that, what are we doing? You can go to the back of your CPT book. There is a alphabetical index, and you can go look up that word, and then it'll tell you which CPT codes are part of that particular code. And then you can go look and see which ones, what part of this question or answer is different. What would be included, what would not be included. Sammy Sam Sam. B, our gastric bypass for this one. This technique is mostly common in bypass surgeries. We're rerouting. When you see that hyphen NY, think about them moving one area and rerouting it to another area. Think about that when you see this XNY thing. That's what's happening. I have to make an association. Only way I know how to do it is to associate, and I associate that those two hyphens with a highway. We're rerouting the highway. In a laparoscopic gastric bypass procedure, how many access ports are typically established? 1 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 or 7 or more. Hey Danny, good to see you. Which answer is different from the rest of the answers? C is the only answer that's by itself. You know, all the other answers have multiples. C is the only one that's different from the rest. It's 6. Which one, Samantha? A listing of all current modifiers for your CPT is, should be easy peasy question. Everybody should know this one. Super easy. Everybody knows that. It's Appendix A. There is a list of definitions of all your procedures on one of the pages. Like, we have a listing of all the different procedures and their names, like in the nervous system on page 478. I don't know the page number for that one off the top of my head. That's urinary, cardio. Where's the one for digestion? There's a listing inside this book with all the procedures and the names, and that is super helpful. I'll get you the page number for that one. On our next live, we are going to go live on Monday. I've already got the link up on YouTube, so you guys can look for that. We'll go live 4 p.m. on Monday, Arizona time zone. Well, my Arizona time zone. There's a couple of time zones in Arizona, but my time zone, like right now it's 6:30. We've been live for 2.5 hours here, so you can figure out what time it is in your time zone by knowing that it's 6:30 here, my time zone. The contributing factors to E&M level of service are the chief complaint and history of present illness, the review of symptoms, and the past family, medical, social history, both A and B or none of the above. I'm not quite sure this question is up to date. I got it from the AHIMA 2024 workbook, and or I got it from Bucks, the 2024 Bucks questions workbook. I'm not quite sure this one is up to date. Contributing factors for E&M level of service are which of the following? What do you guys think? They're looking for both the chief complaint and history of present illness, the review of symptoms, and the past family medical history. But technically, our elements of E&M are just the problem list, the data reviewed, and the risk assessment. I don't know. When a sole purpose of a telephone or internet communication is to arrange transfer of care to an other face-to-face service, the code range 9944-99449 for interprofessional telephone internet consultations is not reported. However, the codes are appropriate to use if the decision to accept the transfer of care cannot be made until after the initial interprofessional telephone or internet consultation. Is that true or false? The sole purpose of a telephone or internet communication is to arrange a transfer of care or other face-to-face services is not reported. But if the decision to accept transfer of care cannot be made until or after the initial interprofessional telephone call or internet conversation, then it is appropriate to use those. It is true, the codes in the range 99444 through 99449 are appropriate if the decision to accept the transfer cannot be considered until we make that initial phone call conversation with somebody to see if we can accept them or not, then we can bill them. If they know that they're going to accept that patient anyway, no matter what, then they can't count it. But if they need that conversation to see if they can accept care, then we can bill it, is all they're saying. But they write it with some highfalutin, crazy, flip-floppy words that mean nothing. This is again in the Bucks 2024 workbook. And I can already see some deleted codes that we haven't had since, I don't know, 2020 or 2019. So this one is a deleted code, but yet it's been deleted since I think 2019. And it's in a 2024 workbook that's written out by Bucks. They also have the question that breaks down a comprehensive history and a comprehensive physical exam. These are components that have not been utilized since 2021. But you guys are paying and expecting 2024 information. The only thing that you can take from this is a straightforward MDM, but it may not be correct because the prior way we used to do this question was we took all three of these things and we had to combine them to make an answer. So we had comprehensive, comprehensive, and a straightforward. We would pick comprehensive, right? But since these guidelines have been taken away since 2021, we don't have that as a data element. The only data element we have in today's current guidelines is straightforward. Straightforward would be an O2. So depending on which guideline you're using would make a big difference in this question. But this one's in a 2024 book. What answer do you think that they're wanting? Yeah, B is what they're wanting. We have anesthesia. We have a 140, a 142, a 144, or a 148 procedure. What's going on with those CPT codes? 00, 140. Is NOS non-specified procedure? A 42 is a lens surgery. A 44 is a cornea surgery. And a 58, or 48, I mean, is a scope. What did we do today? What do you guys think is the answer? This one is non-specific, NOS. .44 is cornea. 42 is lens. 48 is a scope. It has been a long day, Katie. This is the last one for tonight. Yep, we've got our lens mentioned 4 times, and because our patient is over the age of 70, we do get to add our qualifying circumstance code because it requires more delicate procedure to put somebody over 70 years old on anesthesia. We get to add a bonus anesthesia CPT code to state that this patient was over 70. They require enhanced monitoring because of their age. So C is our correct answer. Yep. There's a ton of rationale there for you. Bucks always gives you lots of rationale, but I got a few more questions, but we'll do them on Monday. So far I've got another diagnosis, another anesthesia, and then 3 more diagnosis ones. Let me know in the comments on any of my videos what else you would like for me to prep for y'all on Monday's free lesson. We're going to do 2 hours again. We can do more lab and path or COC practice questions or just anything, whatever in the world y'all want to see. More E&M, more cardiovascular. Just let me know whatever y'all want. I hope this has been super helpful. Thanks, Go-Kart. 1000s and 2000s. You got it. Can do integumentary and musculoskeletal. Integumentary is one of my favorite areas for sure. I love that area. Thank you guys on TikTok. I hope this has been super helpful. Thank you for all the love tonight. You guys are great. Don't be surprised if I follow you guys. You're very welcome, guys. I love integumentary. Integumentary is so much fun. Musculoskeletal, just know that if you're going to be in musculoskeletal, you're doing either a lipoma or a mass. You're going to be in the 2000s. If you're doing anything else like cancers or benign tumors or whatever else, you're in integumentary. So in the 1000s, that's helpful. Bring that back up. You guys can see it. So lipomas and masses are in the 2000s, and then cancers or benign lesions, anything else like corns or warts, anything that you're doing, it's all in integumentary. That's super helpful during the exam for sure. Cardiovascular, are you doing arterial or venous or a combo code? Are you anterior or posterior in the heart? That can be helpful during the exam. Be sure to color code those. How about some revenue cycle questions? Awesome, Jen. I'll absolutely add some of those. Great. List of procedures for the gastro question, please. Yes, you got it. All right. Aw, thanks, Maggie. You guys are great. Y'all are a blessing. Y'all give me a purpose here. I appreciate it. I hope this is super helpful, guys. Proud of you guys. Love you guys, and I will see you again on Monday.